Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here. I hope you're having a great day. Let's take a look here at SUI, double check a few key factors here and see what's going on. Happy Monday to you folks as well. We're going to take a quick look at the macro, make sure we understand bigger picture, how much further down this could go, or if it responds, how well it can possibly go higher. I got news for you folks. So breaking all-time highs here this year, it's pretty unlikely. Mainly because obviously we're seeing a lot of selling pressure. We haven't broken our descending trend line. If you've been watching my channel for at least the last 2 weeks, or recent, even before, you'll know that I have been just realistic with this coin and the fact that it's not going to continue to go parabolic no matter how amazing the fundamentals are. Okay, so no discredit to anybody who's taken some longs recently that are in the red. It's totally very natural to hope for the best and to take a trade kind of, based on speculation or fundamentals, however you look at it. But the truth is the technical analysis on this coin is very bad right now, and there's absolutely no reason to consider to continue buying these dips. Okay, now keep in mind we are getting closer to sweeping a majority of that lower liquidation. I think 140 seems like a very logical place to consider a long. We may not hit that, but if you do take a look at some macro liquidation levels here, we can see there's billions of dollars just below 160. I would say 150 is probably a distinct likelihood. 140 is secondary to that. Again, that's all just based on liquidation levels. Because again, folks, so many people have long positions open from months ago who never even close their stinking position. People are still in longs probably from 140 right now with high leverage longs getting eaten up on fees, and they're still too stubborn to close their position, expecting the price just to recover. So again, folks, I know this is kind of what happens. They'll eventually get you to close your position and then the price goes the opposite direction. I totally get it. That could very well happen, but there's really no reason right now to expect that SUI is going to recover anytime soon. Anyways, the liquidation levels here are kind of funky. So when we take a look here at the delta, we can see we're shifting finally from bullish to bearish as far as the amount of liquidation shorts. Okay, so we now officially have more shorts on SUI than longs at this point. So just keep that in mind. The mentality has shifted here. We got a lot of people with open interest at 193. Imagine being long at 193 and the price is at 163 right now. There's a good chance those people have already been liquidated because most people don't use low leverage, but even still, not a great consideration, folks. So I would not recommend a long position with this coin. Just to quickly zoom in here, last 7 days, we can see a ton of liquidation between maybe a big pocket there about 155 and 145. So there's really nothing here pointing up, and unfortunately right now Bitcoin dominance is just taken off. It's like literally leaving altcoins in the dust. So most alts are just bleeding out and hitting it really hard. Unfortunately, SUI is one of the stronger coins to the downside today. Anyways, this isn't all doom and gloom. I'm going to talk to you about how specifically and what needs to happen next to be able to recover and turn this around. And also just be realistic. I mean, if the charts are screaming bearish divergence, I'm going to tell it how it is. And if there's something here telling us we're going to see a reversal soon, then I'll let you know too. But honestly, in the last week's worth of trading, there's been no reason to consider taking a long because we're consistently establishing lower highs. Okay. Now, while it's not exact, we can see a pretty obvious trend here that the price action is just going lower, right? And you got to respect those trend lines. That's really all there is to it. So from a macro perspective here, again, this is a daily. Let's jump out to the weekly here in a second. We're still under the 20-day SMA. This is like the trend setter, okay? This 20-day SMA will align itself with the descending trend, and then it'll inevitably become a resistance range, okay? Now, I don't want you to get stuck on the fact that an SMA is a resistance. It's really not. It's just kind of letting us know that, hey, we're really on the wrong side of these tracks here, and the likelihood of the price going higher is lower based on the fact that we're on the wrong side, okay? Again, it's like you're walking into oncoming traffic versus walking with traffic, if that makes any sense, right? So that's generally the concept. Okay, so let's go with the weekly here and just recognize the weekly is still very bullish. We're above all moving averages. We've had 3 weeks of downtrend, but we're still over support at 50 on the RSI. So my money is when the price action comes down to 155, 140, those ranges there, sweeps those lower liquidation levels. If that happens, it's not a guarantee, then we will see probably a pivot off of 50 on the RSI because that will kind of align itself with that lower level. It's really interesting and crazy how the 50 on the RSI really speaks highly of the current trend. So right now we're still bullish in the overall sense, even though it may not feel like it. We've come down quite a lot. It's just that natural capitulation, 30% correction is very, very normal and standard when a coin jumps up as high as it did, from lowest from 46 to $2.46 or $2.36. That was a 400% correction. So why are you complaining about a 30% decrease, right? Again, it's all perspective. However, at this point here, we can't be naive and just blindly bullish like some people have been. It's important to recognize the price will probably continue lower until it doesn't, or until you feel like you can't take anymore, and then it'll turn itself around as soon as you close your position. That's just how trading is, folks. That's what market makers do. They move the price action in different ways and make you feel the pain. Okay. So at this point here, just to clarify one last thing, there's a fair value gap, which is actually beneficial here to the upside. So 197, roughly that $2 mark we've talked about previously being a support level. That should be the new resistance, but hypothetically, the price does rally back. We'll at least come back up to $2. That would be a logical place based on this significantly large fair value gap that hasn't been filled yet. Just keep in mind, this is strictly a worst case scenario. If we end up losing 140, 110, 115 is on the table, that 0.618 macro fib level where we can see the lower fair value gap from that very significant prominent week of the September, mid-September, if you recall that. All right, anyways, so macro is still looking mostly good. I know it sounds weird to say based on what you see here. You can have 3 bearish weeks and still do okay. And again, it's all relative based on that 400% continuation from 40 to 240, somewhere in that range. Okay. So now that we know that and we understand that, what does that mean for us? Well, at this point, this 0.382 fib level, 164, we got to give that a chance to hold. This has actually been notoriously a very strong support level for us. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, now 7 attempts to break that key level support. My money is on the price action breaking down, just based on the simple fact that you can only test a support level or resistance so many times before it breaks. If Bitcoin pulls back, just say Bitcoin's trending towards 69K, Bitcoin, just imagine Bitcoin going down to 65, 64, 60,000. What do you think SUI is going to do? It's absolutely lost its bottom and it's continuing to run. This is the very last line of defense, okay? So just please note, this is not a good situation. We're now officially under 50 on the RSI. We have been for a few days. I've been talking about this for a while. Ever since, Thursday, we've been underneath that level, and that's generally construed as a bearish sign. We can see the last time that we broke below that level, it spent very little time there and continued to rally back. We could see that again, but the general consensus here is that with us being over 50 on the RSI, this was a bullish scenario. We're now in a bearish scenario, okay? So please recognize, folks, taking a long right now is extremely high risk. And I get it, I know. Every time in the past, SUI has never let you down. But I hope that you're starting to get the hint here that this coin is pulling back quite significant. And there's no other way around it. It still has more room for downside. And also incentive too, based on heavy concentrations of liquidation, okay? Either way, money flow index is very low. You gotta recognize this too. Commonly when you see 20 on the money flow index, there's a pivot or a bouncing point. So we may see a rally from 164 to possibly the local low at 177, but that's kind of a hope and a prayer at this point. Taking a look at the 4-hour time frame, we want to recognize a few key factors here too. We're below every single moving average. You need to recognize that's not a good sign. We also are underneath 50 on the RSI. Stochastic RSI swinging back down. Money flow index is pulling back. Traditional MACD here diverging. There is 10 out of 10 reasons to not take a long position right now. And I know that's probably why a lot of people are probably going to take a long and have some success, because truth is, when you have these massive overextensions, the price will rally back for a short while. But as you can see, the last rally, look what happened here, fizzled out. Okay, so again, it's just not worthwhile taking a long in this situation here. We really have no reason to take a long until we break any kind of descending trend. And a good indicator of that would be the Ichimoku cloud. This is kind of a shorter term confirmation, if you will. And with us having lag and span free and clear, of course, we got a good 12 to 24 hours of bearish divergence. So we're probably going to see the price continue to go lower or sideways. If the price does recover and we see the money flow index increase, that's the lagging span, then we'd be in a position where the price action would be, it might be worthwhile to close your short. But between now and then, there's no reason to. We got lagging span, free and clear, conversion line below the baseline, and then the actual cloud itself, this guy here, is a key level of resistance. So truth is, until we get over 175, there's really no reason to consider a long. I would much rather even wait until 178 or higher, because that was that local point of control based on volume. So folks, I guess the bumper sticker version here is there's no reason to consider a long position with this coin. If you do, please, heaven forbid, you do take a long, watch it close. Secure profits when you can. Don't be greedy. This coin is not going to the moon anytime soon. Bitcoin dominance being too high, is an indicator letting us know that most altcoins are going to continue to suffer until that comes back down. So while it's done well in the past, Bitcoin is also in a really strange position right now. Bitcoin looks bullish, but it's got some cracks in the glass too, where it may continue to pull back. If that happens, SUI is going to be in a world of hurt. So, all right. Anyways, hopefully that makes sense. I described that fairly well. I know it's kind of a lot to take on. Feel free to watch the video a few other times if you didn't quite understand what I said, or just watch my other videos too. You'll get a feel for how I do things. But at this point, there's no reason to take a long position, and I think it's kind of close to the bottom for the moment, the immediate bottom, so it wouldn't make sense to take a short either. Honestly, you probably don't want to even bother taking a short with SUI because this coin's so volatile, it makes very little sense. So either way, I hope that made sense. Thanks again so much for watching. I'll go ahead and tune out here. Appreciate you. We'll look forward to seeing the next one. Have yourself a great rest of your day. Take care.